Live. Welcome,
Hey,
everybody, to the 50th installment of Playtest This. Can you believe we made it to half a century?
50,
It's
a century.
ridiculous. Half a
Ah,
One,
century.
we do one a year.
Well, I mean, half a
Evan's
century as far as
70.
100 goes, not 100 years. Um,
I just don't know how your weekly show ended up 50 episodes after a year and a half.
well, we go to conventions, take a week off for taxes, that kind of stuff.
Week or two.
Lazy, it's fine. It's fine. Speaking of which, if you all filed extensions, October's coming up fast.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm hoping that it leads to some work.
oh right, yeah, I forgot you're doing that now.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so welcome. We have our star-studded panel of published designers doing our
Hey.
playtesting today. Please introduce yourselves. Let's start with Jack.
Hi, my name is Jack Dunbar. I'm from New Kingdom Gaming is my company. I self-publish a game called New Kingdom Gardeners, and have two new titles coming up. I've got one crowdfunding next April called Prestige, and then I've got
Yes.
another game coming out next summer, Tribulation, that I'm working on currently. So that's me. You
I'm
can find
excited
me
to
anywhere.
try Tribulation at some point. I have played
Yeah,
Prestige
yeah.
back in the day, but
Mhm.
excited to try Tribulation. And excited for you, Jack. That's awesome, man.
Thanks.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam Barmettler, Around the Stump Games LLC, publisher and designer behind Outrun the Bear. Also
Ooh,
have Button Kingdoms coming up if I ever find the right artist for it. So if you're an artist who does watercolors, reach out to me
Huh.
after this.
ooh,
And
Interesting.
yeah, Outrun the Bear actually just went live on web sales today. So
nice.
very happy with that
Nice.
with the web store.
Did you get it
So
on Amazon?
It's not on Amazon yet. It's coming
Okay.
soon. They need to sort the packages that have been sent to them. But
Nice,
nice.
yeah,
nice.
So for watercolors, do you need a bunch of weird oblong circular shapes that are very dull and gray?
Because your daughter could
I'd
do
like it to
it.
No,
be a
Is
little
that's
that
more vibrant than that sounds, but it is stuffed animals. So it
oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
fantasy theme is gone. Now it's fantasy stuffed animal theme. So
Hey, there's nothing wrong
yeah,
with that.
yeah.
nice?
Um, I am Evan Halbert. You can play my games called After the Empire, and then eventually next year, I think now Emily Willis is going to come out with her Bah Humbug, and I've got one of the little mini games in there. I have a few other games coming out, one next year and one the year after, and then I just signed two games
Nice.
this just
Nice.
That's
this month.
awesome, Evan.
I
Nice.
signed a
Good work.
midweight heavy Euro game with Crafty Games that'll come out in like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, you
And
did?
yeah.
Nice.
And then I signed the card game that I think maybe both of you have played, Wildwood
Hmm.
with the Druids,
Yeah, yeah.
or
Very
maybe just
excited
Jack.
about that.
Signed that one with
Yeah.
25th Century, and that'll probably come out in like a year and a half or something like that, hopefully.
Cool.
Anyway, so
What's After the Empire up to this week?
oh,
75.
ranking. I think it's at
Yeah.
1682 or something like that.
Nice.
Not that I look every day. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I'll
It
crack
bounces
1500
around.
soon.
It
Yeah.
bounces around. You're like, oh, and then like somebody drops a three on you, and it's like, wah. You're like, what are you gonna do?
Every rating
Um,
matters.
I
every rating.
actually try to time my ratings that I do on it to change right before Evan looks. Like I drop it real low right before
Yeah.
Evan's gonna sign on, and
You
then
make
raise
so
it
many
back
dummy
up.
accounts.
Are you currently looking at After the Empire? Nice. All
But
right.
more importantly than us three, no, we're pretty
Yes.
important. But we have our special guest on today, Mike Nichols. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I guess I am the unpublished designer of the group.
Soon to
uh,
be.
I do have a small game that I'm gonna kickstart myself.
See?
Coming I'm aiming for spring of next year. Um, all my art's done and gameplay's done, rulebook's done, all that stuff is done. I just have to figure out how to do it. So
Yeah.
giving myself 6 to 8 months of leeway to figure out the whole process of it. But
Good.
Sweet.
Yeah, you need some runway.
yeah,
They tell me I've only ever failed at kickstarting a game, so I don't know how to succeed.
so you've gained experience.
Yes, right. I am level 2. Um, cool. Welcome. Let's get into the teach, huh?
Yeah. All right. So this is Snacky Snack Cul De Sac. It is
Love
a
it.
new design. We were just talking earlier. I think it's 3 months in the works.
Because when we first saw it 3 months ago, how old was it at that point?
That was the 4th playtest.
That was the 4th playtest. Dang.
Okay.
Cool.
So a lot has changed since then.
Mhm.
And so in Snacky Snack Cul De Sac, you are all members of the same little cul-de-sac group. You're all neighbors, and in your neighborhood, you throw lots and lots of parties. And the goal of the game is to be the first one to reach the top of the reputation track. So the reputation is your victory points.
Mm.
There are a couple ways to get reputation. Starting at the top of the board here. Well, let's start here actually. So here, each day there's going to be parties that come up, and you're going to be RSVPing to bring ingredients or dishes to these parties. When these fill up, things happen. So the first thing that can happen, my board is too big for this. There we go. All right. So up here is going to be, I did not shuffle these either way. There's going to be 3 of these guys. These are my cul-de-sac cravens. And they are just people in the neighborhood, and they have certain cravings. If you can bring potatoes and rice to the party, you can give them the potatoes and rice. And that will net you 2 reputation points.
Hmm.
The other way to gain reputation is via this meat track, which we'll get into later. And then the other main way to get it is through bringing dessert to a party, because everybody loves the person that brings dessert to the party. So let's go over
Fair
what
enough.
you're actually going to be doing. Oh my gosh, I forgot to load the turn structure card. Oh well.
That's okay. You just
So
tell us.
on your turn, you're going to take 1 of 4 actions. You're going to have a hand of cards that is comprised of ingredient cards. Of course, there we go. So you have cheese, rice, veggies, potatoes. Cheese, rice, veggies, potatoes, and you have a meat card right there. So you're gonna have a hand. It's gonna start at 5 cards. Hand limit is 5. And on your turn, you're going to take 1 of 4 actions. The first one is you're going to RSVP to a party. So you have 3 parties out here. You can RSVP to any of them. And you're just going to say what you're going to bring to that party. You're not going to play the card when you RSVP. You're just saying, hey, that's what I'm going to bring. So if you don't have that card yet, you can try to obtain it later or anything like that, just as long as you are, as long as you have it when the party happens. The parties happen when the black spaces are all full.
Okay.
So if everybody were to RSVP, we'd have blue, red bringing meat, purple's bringing this, and then yellow's bringing potato. Once that yellow brings a potato, this party happens. All right. So once this is full, it immediately triggers.
Can you bring multiple dishes to the same event?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So when this party happens, starting with the player who finished it, it's going to go in clockwise order. And they are going to, since yellow finished it, they're going to start. and they take their cube and they will place it up in this track. Then purple is going to take their cube. So they put it in the potato track because they brought potato. And then purple is going to put theirs in the vegetable track because they brought vegetables. Blue goes to cheese. And then red is going to go to meat. And then everybody is going to get 2 goodwill. Goodwill is the currency. Once that resolves, a new one's going to come out immediately, and then play starts with the blue player because the yellow just finished their turn. So that in general is how the RSVP and parties work. So that's your first action, is to RSVP to a party. The second action is going to be to essentially shop at the market. In this game, there's going to be cards here. This is Granny's house. Granny is part of the neighborhood, but she stays in and she doesn't go to any of the parties. But you can always go to her house to borrow ingredients. Granny also always has dessert. So this is an unlimited pile. And you can grab it anytime you go to Granny's house. It does take up a slot in your hand though. When you're going to Granny's house, let's take the, there we go. So this is our currency, our goodwill. When you go to Granny's house, if you take that action, you can buy as many of the ingredients as you want up to your hand size of 5. You place a goodwill on the little spot here, and then you take the cards that you want to take. So you take those cards into your hand, and this stays empty. Because the third action that you can take on your turn is to go grocery shopping for Granny. When you go grocery shopping for Granny, you take all of the goodwill that people have put there, and you claim that, and then you draw from the discard pile to refill Granny. So you'll shuffle, this will be shuffled up, and then you'll just restock. And then the last action that you can take is to do good deeds around the neighborhood. And that is just, you get 2 goodwill. It's essentially a non-turn, but if you're in a bind and you really need goodwill or something like that, you might take that action. But so those are the 4 actions. So going a little bit deeper here, we'll start with the meat. So on our meat works differently than the other 4 ingredients. And the meat works like an experience track. So there are different types of meats. This is a perfect card to have out here. So we have our cold cut, we have our stovetop, we have our roast, and our barbecue, all right here. Whenever you bring meat, you're going to keep adding your cubes to this track. So it's just going to keep building up. So you take it from the card and you just place it on the track. You can always make cold cuts, but then up on the track, there's these spots here. So a cold cut, you can always make a cold cut. If I had my red token, if I only had 1 red token and I was right here, I'm not yet at the experience that I need to do stovetop meat. So if I wanted to bring the stovetop, I would have to pay 1 goodwill. If I was right here and I wanted to do roast, I would have to pay 2 goodwill to bring a roast. And then I would have to pay 3 goodwill to bring a barbecue. As I move up this track, now I can bring stovetop without paying goodwill because I've already met that milestone. And then I only have to pay 1 goodwill for a roast, 1 goodwill, or 2 goodwill for a barbecue. And then I keep working my way up that track. Each time I hit one of these new spots, I get 1 reputation for hitting that spot. So if I get to stovetop, I get 1 reputation for stovetop. If I get to roast, I get 1 reputation. And then if I get barbecue, I get 1 reputation. Once you are at barbecue, anytime you bring meat to a party, people love it because you're so good at meat now. So you get a reputation. Once you reach the top, every time you bring meat, it's a reputation. All right. And then we have this whole middle section here. On the middle section, you are bringing ingredients to place cubes out onto these things. This is an area majority. If you have the majority, you gain the ability that is on that card. So if you have the majority in broccoli, once per turn, you don't have to use a separate action to go to Granny's one time. So you can grab one cheese and bring it into your hand. You still have to pay. But it's a free action to do it one time each turn. The rice, any party that you go to, you're going to get goodwill for it. The cheese, this lets you shift cubes from one location onto another location. You can shift 2 cubes. And that acts as if you just place them, which is going to come into play in a second. And then the potato here is hosting a party. So if you bring the majority of the dishes, so in this case, you would have to bring 3 dishes to the basic meal, then you would get a reputation. So if you can bring cheese, vegetable, and potato all to the basic meal, boom, reputation, as long as you have majority in potato. These majorities are friendly ties. So if Jack has 2 and Evan has 2,
we both get to do it.
You both get it. Yep.
Okay.
There is a max of 5 that can be on each spot. Once max is hit, if you were going to have to add a cube to it, you have the choice to either remove any 1 cube from that spot. So if potatoes was maxed and I was going to add the potato, I can remove 1 cube from potato, or I can transfer any one of my potato cubes to another location.
And then add the cube.
No, that'll be just transfer.
So if you were to add one, instead of adding one, you move one off of it.
Yes.
Quick question with the wording on cheese. You can shift 2 cubes from one location to another is that only my cubes?
No, that is anybody's cubes.
Okay.
But it is an action. So you gain a 5th action. So you take your turn to shift the 2 cubes.
Hey,
So they can be any cube.
Bringing cheese is power play, it seems. But we'll see. Who knows?
And then the last thing is cups and plates.
Okay.
You have a cups and plates token. If you really want to attend a party, you can RSVP for cups and plates. When that party happens, you just flip your token over. Nobody likes the person that always brings cups and plates to the party, so you get it one time. But if you go to the store for Granny, you can reflip that token. So if you take the refill action to refill the market, you can flip that token back over. When you bring cups and plates, you can also discard any cards from your hand that you want to. So if you want to shed cards, you can just bring dishes to the party. They don't count as dishes. You're just like, hey, I thought I would bring this too. So
what's your hand limit?
5.
5. Okay. 5 max.
And then I think that's everything. Should be. Let me just shuffle these up. Pull the cubes back.
I'm gonna change colors here because me and Jack are kind of sharing a corner.
Ooh.
And is there any way to change the bag colors just so they match the hand colors?
Sure.
Oh.
I'm gonna do my best. I am colorblind.
But then the cubes.
Okay.
Cube color won't change.
Yeah, cube color won't change.
Okay.
If you know how to change the cube colors,
but I can
inside
steal
the
that.
bag.
I can just bring that bag over in front of me.
I think,
yeah.
I think I can do it
There we go. Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And
Ciao.
Oh, sorry. Those should be green.
Yeah, any questions before we finish setup and get started?
I don't think so. Should we get going?
All right.
There you
So,
go.
oh, I did forget one thing, and that's because it's new.
Okay.
Here are your cravens. So on these cravens, now that everything's been explained, if you had like potatoes and vegetables that you brought to a party, instead of placing them on potatoes and vegetables here, you would give them to this person and they would give you 2 reputation. And then the
Do
last.
Do we have a
be-
limited number of cubes, or are they?
Nope, cubes are unlimited.
You have to be able to fulfill both of those things at one moment to do it.
Bring both of those to a single party, yes.
interesting.
And these could just come on over here. All right, and then these are my Cul De Plaques. They are kind
Your
of like
Cultiplax?
You get a nice little plaque to commemorate your
Okay.
amazing dishes. So if you can be the first person to have 5 on potato, you can immediately grab this and you will get 4 victory points. If you're the first person to have
Nice.
5 on rice, you'll immediately grab this, get 4 victory points. And then if you control all 4 of them, you can gain 4 victory points. So if you have majority in all 4. So everybody can go ahead and draw 5 cards from this deck.
Are these so? Will there just be 3 random Cultiplax in a game?
Yeah, so that's it for the game.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they're not going to refresh. The other ones are just out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Draw
so we
5 from the Cul De
the
Sac.
Cul De Sac. Yep. And that'll be your starting hand.
Oops. I think I have a volleyball in my hand. Should that not be there?
So there are no other cards to draw. Is that right?
No. So
Just
there
what's
are-
out. Okay.
There is 1 ingredient per player plus 1 ingredient for Granny. Shuffled up. So there's 4 of each one total.
Okay.
Okay.
Start player is the person that last brought something to a potluck.
Ooh.
Oh man.
I mean, it's been some months.
Hmm.
The last potluck I was at was pre-pandemic.
No
Oh,
way.
I've got you beat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mine was a
definitely,
few months
Sam.
ago.
That's that's crazy, man. No, I had
Okay.
to. Let's see.
Yeah, it's probably Jack. It feels like it would be Jack.
Right. When did you have a potluck, Jack?
I had. It was my.
They probably had a fire putting out potluck. Like,
Probably
Yeah, we did. No, we had a birthday party for my friend's daughter. What, end of July? And I brought some Capri Suns to that.
I think
You're
we'll
the
count
cups
it.
and plates guy.
We'll count it.
Last thing, just these bonuses at the bottom of the cards in a little blue circle. You get those for attending the party. You get it 1 time, no matter how many dishes you bring. So
Okay.
okay.
Is it
Alright.
just whoever brings the most gets that benefit, or
no, it's everybody that attends.
everybody? Okay.
I do have a quick
um,
question on Goodwill before we start.
Yep. You guys all start with 3, by the way. 3 Goodwill.
Okay. That was one of the questions. And
Whoa, that's not how that works.
is it only earned
Trying
by attending these and by getting meat up?
So you don't.
Sorry, you don't get it for getting meat up. I forgot that was a negative, which I already wrote down I liked that thematically, but
Yeah, so these will be kind of like your steady source or somewhat steady source.
okay,
This rice can be a good source,
okay,
and then
and then
timing when
Okay.
you pick up from Granny. So
Yep, cool.
And then of course the last thing. Hopefully this is the last thing. I keep forgetting little things. On your
It's okay.
RSVP action, you can spend 1 goodwill to RSVP to one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can
Oh,
RSVP twice in a turn by spending 1 goodwill.
I think I remember that from
Ooh.
last time.
Nice.
all right, cool. So on my turn, I can do 1 of 4 actions. Is that correct, Mike?
Correct.
Okay, so first turn, I will. And how do you activate these guys? These cravens? Is that
So if you bring like that first one, if you bring
Uh-huh.
vegetable and potato to a party, so like on basic meal,
yeah?
instead of putting the vegetable and potato onto the locations, you can give them to the craven
Hmm,
and you'll get 2 reputation for that.
okay, I see. Okay, cool. Well, I think what I'm gonna do is I am going to bring. I'm gonna RSVP for the basic meal, and I'm gonna bring meat. But I'm also going to pay 1 goodwill to also bring cheese. And in order
What?
to bring the meat, I have to pay a goodwill.
Dude.
So that's going to be 2 goodwill for me,
Yep, you won't pay the
I
goodwill
believe.
until you bring the meat. So you'll hold on to
Okay.
that until the party happens.
Oh, okay. Okay. But I can bluff. Like, I don't need to have this in my hand.
So right now, if you show up empty-handed for one of the things you said you were going to RSVP, you're going to lose your next turn.
Oh,
If you have a better idea for that, I'm all ears.
okay.
I was like, you lose all your cubes, but then if you don't have cubes in that thing, then you have to lose goodwill, and if you don't have any goodwill, then you have to lose reputation, and then if you don't have any reputation, so right now it's just miss your next turn.
Okay.
All right, I'm done.
All right, double RSVP there. We'll go ahead and just RSVP rather conservatively with some rice here.
Nice.
That's my turn. All right.
Jackie to Jackie.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Well, I'm gonna RSVP to bring potato to the basic meal. Whoops. What did I just do?
I think we're close to the edge of the table, and
You
that's what
ruined
So
triggered that.
stovetop, cheese, bring in some potato.
Mhm.
You know what? I'm gonna RSVP potato to the dairy-free meal.
There you go.
That's what I'm gonna do. That's my turn.
Okay. Let's So do you get anything for bringing more than one dish at this point? No, right?
I mean, you get more cubes on the locations,
Yeah, okay.
but
I'm gonna RSVP with the potato and the veggie.
Ooh.
Spreading it out. Spreading the love.
All right, Sam.
All right. I'm going to RSVP the vegetable here.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then,
all right, so that will immediately trigger.
Oh,
Okay.
I should have
So-
blocked you out.
So starting with green, because he was the one that finished, and then going in turn order around the table, ending at green again. So green will start by placing his vegetable up. And then
Okay. Do I earn anything for this?
you get 2 goodwill for going to the party.
That's right. Okay.
So you had to do the stovetop, so you had to lose a goodwill, right?
Yes, yeah.
Nice try.
So I'll pay one as well.
Nice try.
I was trying to
Mhm,
make
mhm.
that goodwill
Okay.
forever.
And so we all
But
gained
paying
2
a
will.
goodwill, I could RSVP somewhere else, right?
Yep. So now it's back to your turn essentially, and you can finish it.
And where does
And
this
can
go?
I immediately do this?
That can just go into discard, and then this one comes out immediately. What was that? Sorry.
And can I immediately do the once per turn borrow 1 item from Granny as a
Yes.
free action?
Yes.
So does that go into my and this should have left my hand during it,
Yeah.
right?
So discard anything that you brought to the party.
Oh, yes. What did I bring? I
Okay.
brought potato.
And where do we discard it to?
You can just set it up by Granny because she's going to get them when
Okay.
it refills. And then Jack brought meat
Yes.
and cheese.
And cheese.
Meat and cheese. And I paid my goodwill for my meat.
Yep. So we just have to discard the cards.
Oh, right.
Get rid of those
So
cards.
and those go here.
Yep.
Here's the discard. Okay. So cheese and meat.
Bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam.
Yep.
Okay, so when I borrow an item from Granny as a free action, does that go into my hand?
Yes. So you
Okay.
still pay the 1 goodwill
Nice.
to grab it.
Okay. And then draw that. And paying 1, I can RSVP again somewhere else where I'm going to RSVP to this budget meal with the roast.
Ooh,
So that triggers.
nice.
So that goes, I get to place 1 in meat
Come on, the track
and
the
1
track
in
feels
rice.
nice.
And do I immediately gain this 1 goodwill?
Yep.
All right. So, and then I would lose the 2 goodwill for taking the meat. And Evan gets to place his cheese.
And I go cheese, and I get 1 goodwill. And I lose my cheese.
And this meal goes away.
Yep. And then it's replaced.
Cool.
All right. So this meat XP will give you +1. So when you bring 1 thing, you'll get 2.
Nice.
If you bring 2 things,
Cool.
you'll get 3.
Okay.
Leftovers, you can take back into your hand 1 item that you brought to the party.
That's pretty cool. Okay. So
Sure.
if you use your cups and plates on that, do you get it back
No, not cups and plates.
for leftovers? Hmm.
I should just remove that. Nobody's going to bring cups and plates to leftovers.
Okay. So let's see. RSVP Grannies. If I go to
Wait, what is
Grannies,
leftovers?
Leftover, you get to bring back 1 item that you brought to that party into your hand.
Okay.
yeah. So okay. If I bring So if I go to Grannies,
Mhm.
I can take as many of these things as I want, or just 1 thing.
You can, if you take the action, you can take as
Uh-huh.
many as you want. You just have to pay for each thing that you take.
You have to pay 1 goodwill for each of those
Yep.
things. Okay. And then Okay.
Sorry, should Evan have scored a reputation? Having had the lead in potatoes after that last party.
I didn't bring the majority of dishes to the party though.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I want one. Don't get me wrong.
I'm gonna RSVP to the hearty meal. How do you get dessert? You go to Granny's and you pay
it's
for
just
it.
Granny's house. It's
I'm gonna RSVP to meat day. I'm gonna RSVP a cold cut.
Cold cut.
And I'm gonna pay a Goodwill and RSVP cold cuts over here too.
Oh. You have 2 meat cards in your hand? Jeez. That's crazy. Well, he took all my cold cuts, obviously. So I'm gonna go stovetop. And then potato.
What is influence?
those are, you get to add a cube wherever you want.
Oh, cubes. Okay. So is the only way to get reputation from Cravens and the meat track and the
Every time you bring a
Cultiblacks?
dessert to a party, you'll get reputation.
Oh, and dessert. Okay.
Evan done?
Yep.
And then these things on the side too,
Okay. Yeah.
eventually.
Hmm.
All right. I'm gonna RSVP rice the hearty meal.
Very nice. Is that it?
That's- Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna RSVP cheese. To the hearty meal. Think about it for a second.
My go. My turn, Jack.
Yes.
I will visit Granny.
Nice.
I will take a dessert. I will take some potato. And I can only have a max of 5 cards in hand, right?
Correct.
Okay, then that's all I do.
All right. I'll go ahead and shop for Granny.
Okay.
So that collects me all of the goodwill, right?
Yep.
And then refills Granny.
Yep. So you just flip over the discard pile, shuffle it up, and fill her up.
Fill her up.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Wait, once per turn is a free action. I can borrow something.
Yep. So you can still do it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and borrow the meat here.
Nice.
Now,
Sam, you tricky man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm gonna.
I forgot I could do that.
You saw
until
me.
the last
You saw
second,
me.
and I'm like, oh
You saw
no,
me
Jack.
licking my lips. Just looking at that
Chopping his
stovetop.
chops.
Oh, Granny has that meat that I need. Okay, so I will What do I want to do? I guess I want to go visit Granny. Yeah, I'm gonna go visit Granny and grab a dessert.
Mhm.
I'm gonna grab a dessert, and I'm gonna grab.
All right. I am gonna place a dessert. Now, am I gonna have majority there since I'm tied with 2 cubes?
Oh, I just
No,
kind of.
for that one, you will not.
Okay, so I will use my cups and plates to gain a majority.
There we go.
Yeah?
Nice.
All right, so I will put out my potato. Obviously, I gain a reputation because I did bring a majority of dishes. When does that happen?
You gain it right now, as soon as the party goes.
Okay, and where does my dessert and cups and plates cube go?
Reputation track.
Okay. Just 2 on the track?
Yep, because you get 1 reputation for the majority and 1 for bringing dessert.
Okay, cups and plates cube doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it just.
Okay. So now I get to oh, I see. I did gain a reputation. Okay, got it. Okay.
Hmm. And then Sam,
Yeah,
did
I
you
placed
resolve
one.
yours? Oh, you did. Okay, so I placed my. What did I
Oh,
claim? Cheese. So I placed my cheese.
And then your meat.
And then make sure you're discarding cards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Place my cheese. And
Then
then
a
I don't
potato.
actually have meat. So does that mean my turn is skipped?
And I did a dessert.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't have meat. So okay, so I place my cheese, but then do I do the cheese thing? Shift 2 from one location to another as if you just place them.
I think that's
Can I shift
instead of an
these
action
two?
on your turn.
Yep. So that's a 5th action
Oh,
that you now have access to.
And you're gonna lose your next turn. Damn.
that's right.
okay. Now I have to ask this horrible question. So Jack just had his next turn skipped, and I know he has no meat.
Mhm.
If I finish meat day,
That's
will
rude.
that force Jack
will
to
skip
lose
me.
that second turn?
That's rude.
If you finish meat day.
If I finish meat day, that will be the punishment. Okay.
Rude.
Well, I am going to finish
There's
meat
no
day.
way. There's no way you have that much meat, Sam.
Well, remember what I took from Granny?
Yeah.
You have to spend
Yeah.
a
Didn't
goodwill to
help.
place 2 cubos,
Yeah, so
man.
I got to
There you
spend
go.
1 to place there.
Man,
What a
And
jerk.
then
I've really burned my goodwill
2,
in this
2 for the
neighborhood.
roast and 3 for the barbecue.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna invite me to parties.
So that's
Right?
that's gonna be the 5 that I have, and I've got the 2 meat.
Wow.
Impressive.
Impressive.
Yep. So
So he's going up to
yeah.
roast immediately.
Yep,
Wow.
and you'll get 2 reputation because you hit the 2
Wow.
benchmarks.
Okay. Do we put 1 cube in each one of these, or
It's designed so you can just take them off and put them on 1 cube at a time, but it doesn't matter as long as you know where you're at in the meat track.
yeah? Okay. So
So I mean, technically Jack would lose 2 turns, but
Yeah.
since that's a rule that I just made up today, and I'm really looking for a better option, and it's the playtest, I'll leave it to you guys to decide whether he loses 2 turns or not.
Well,
We just pick your best stab, and that's what we'll do.
yeah, Sam did it on purpose to skip me, so I think we just let it ride and see what
Yeah.
happens.
Okay.
Rules is explained. I feel like that's where it
Yep.
went. But
That's fair.
So I
fair. Hey,
so I
it's
got
fair.
I got my meat here that's coming off, and I gain an extra one, right?
Yep.
Because it's +1 meat, so that's a reputation.
Yep. Yep.
And then, yeah, and then that happens to Jack.
poor Jack.
And then that
Whatever.
I've
It's fine.
destroyed
Alright, so
Jack's
Evans.
reputation. Like,
and then it's my turn. Oh, I forgot to actually play my meat card. There we go.
Okay.
I
Boring
am,
meal.
I am gonna refill Granny's just to give Sam the meat again. Doesn't sound like a good plan.
Well, this will be shuffled. So
That's true. But I will refill Granny's because that's just about the only thing I can do. So I'll take that. 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 It does refill my cuppies. And we'll go 1, 2. See what we got. There you go. There you go. Have at
Meat and
it.
potatoes.
all right.
Take that
Well,
meat.
I am going to take some rice to this hearty meal party.
Mhm.
And Sam has no goodwill. Am I
Oh.
skipped this round? Or am I
Yeah, technically you are skipped again this round.
okay.
Oh, you have no goodwill, so you can't take the meat.
Nope.
All right, my turn. I take the meat.
Nice. Sweet.
The meat is all mine. The sweet meat.
Oh,
Sweet meat.
actually, I should have gained 1 goodwill because I had the lead in rice.
Mm-hmm.
You probably would have taken the meat, huh?
No, I wouldn't have taken the meat.
Well,
I don't know. I might have taken the meat, but
or would you have placed
Sam's
a
just
second?
trying to save face over there. He would have totally taken the meat.
Do you want
I'm going to go ahead and bring the potatoes to this hearty
There we
meal.
go. Okay. All right.
And
Now
now
I-
Jack finally gets a turn.
No, I will finish my turn,
Oh,
and then
sorry.
you just, and then we
Yeah.
skip. Yeah, now it's your turn. Yeah.
Yeah, which I took the potatoes. Sorry.
Oh, you took potato. Okay. Now it's Jack's turn.
My turn. Well, I'm gonna take the goodwill and shop for Granny. Right?
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'll shop for Granny. See what Granny has here. There you go, Evan.
Ooh, that is tempting, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave it for Sam. But I will place the dessert and oh, that's a toughie. I will place the. Ooh, that's a toughie. I will not place the dessert. I will place the roast.
Ooh.
And that's it. So meat goes up here. Gives me +1 influence, which is just a cube somewhere.
Yep.
Can I put it here?
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
And then this veggies goes up here. This rice goes here. And did I already gain +1 influence? Yes. But I did not gain one reputation for hosting the party. And now it is still my turn, and I will. Oh, I had to pay 1 goodwill to bring the roast, so I cannot borrow an item. Okay.
So I'll place
Plan
on my
failed.
potato. Place on my potato, and then I'll place on the broccoli. And that's it. Okay.
That's the end of my turn.
All right.
Oh, and I have to actually pay for the things that I used. Potato.
That part is much easier to remember in person.
Meat. And I also did rice, right? Yeah. I did 3 of those. Dang. Overcommitted. All right.
I'll go ahead and
Take that meat.
yep. Jack's turn.
Cool. I will RSVP vegetables and pay a goodwill and RSVP potato. No. Yes.
Yes.
Vegetable and potato.
I shall bring a dessert. And that's it.
All right. I'll bring meat. Now, what is this leftovers trigger?
One of the items that you brought to the party, you can bring back into your hand instead of discarding.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So dessert just gives me a reputation.
Yeah, you are making use of that dessert.
Yeah, I
that
am.
one dessert.
No, it's my second dessert.
Oh,
Potato. Meat goes up 1. And we are going to spend the potato and the rice.
Yeah.
And I get 1 goodwill for attending a party.
And that's only the person who's area control in there gets the benefit, right?
correct. But it's friendly ties. So
okay.
Okay. My turn?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to bring a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring a dessert.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I have to pay a goodwill to do that.
It feels like I'm going to bring the cold cut and the cups and plates.
Here we go. Okay.
All good?
Mm-hmm.
I'll finish off this boring meal.
Okay. Send you place first.
Yeah. It's gonna go
Up to the barbecue.
Ooh, I get
Sam's the grill master. Nice.
I get a goodwill.
and I gain. I'm done.
So I'm gonna complete with my thing here. I'm gonna take these cubes back. And vegetable potato, I'm gonna complete this craven
Oh,
here.
yeah.
And then dessert, I'm gonna go up to 3.
Yeah. Look at that.
So vegetable, potato, dessert. And then I get a goodwill.
Ciao.
The comeback.
And then Jack, I
Yeah.
think it's actually your turn, right?
On the board. Okay. Oh yeah, it is. All right. So what am I gonna do here? I am going to I'm gonna go to Granny's. And for both of my goodwill, I'm gonna grab cheese. Yep.
Well, it's time to visit old Granny's. Well, I mean, not visit, but refill.
Mm-hmm.
Refill Granny's.
Do the desserts just go back in the dessert stack,
Oh,
Mike?
yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, sorry.
They probably do.
Whoa. 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 There we go. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then obviously I will use my sweet broccoli ability to take that meat.
Borrow the meat.
Is there a limit to how many desserts I can buy from Granny?
Just your hand limit.
Okay, just my
Oh,
hand limit.
really? Okay. I thought it was only one at a time. Okay.
Buy a dessert. Buy a dessert and buy the rice.
Oh, okay. Great. I'm gonna exercise my cheese rights. And I'm gonna move my cubes to the potato.
Yep. So that's going to do it as if you just placed them. So instead of adding your purple cube, you can remove 1 cube from the potato
Oh,
because it's going to be at max 5. So anytime you add something to max 5, you can either remove a cube or take the cubes that are there and shift them somewhere else.
oh,
Ooh.
I'll remove one of Evan's cubes.
Some kind of jerk.
Okay,
Let's see.
cool.
But then you would lose your 1 on cheese. Because
Oh, I lose this cube.
Yeah, because it technically transferred over, but on the
You had to
second
spend it to
transfer,
get rid of mine.
yeah,
Oh, I see.
Like some
but
kind
it
of
still
jerk.
gave you the majority.
Fair enough. Okay, cool.
Okay, well then, let me see how people are. I mean, in that case, I'm gonna put a thing on potato. And, then, spend 1 to put 1 on dessert.
Mm.
And then
Very nice.
spend 1
To take a
the
potato.
Cool.
Of course.
Can you do that? Oh, because of the broccoli.
Because of the broccoli.
Ah, yeah, the broccoli. Okay.
I'm gonna put 1 on dessert. And that's it.
So I am going to RSVP cheese.
Cheese.
And that completes this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I'll place my cheese. I'll place my vegetable. And then I get an influence, which I will use to place on the potato. 2.
What a jerk. Cold cut.
And then I get, because I had the advantage there, I gain a reputation. And that's it.
And then I gain an influence. And I will put it. Ooh. I will use that influence to remove this cube.
Oh, my
Right?
cube.
That's how that works.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is how that works.
Oh, and I think I had to play a cheese and what else did
Oh,
I
I
play?
had to play a meat.
Vegetable.
Vegetable. Okay. Didn't play my cards. So okay. That's yeah, that was my turn.
I'm gonna. I think I'm just gonna cash in old Granny's.
Yeah, man.
But first, before I cash in Granny's, I'm gonna buy a dessert. And then cash in Granny's. When do these
He's
shuffle?
unstoppable now.
When do these shuffle back in?
Anytime you restock, you just shuffle everything.
Anytime you restock. Okay. So, womp. Oh, but I already used my buy. Oof, I'm leaving that meat on the table.
All right, I'm gonna bring a rice. Then Jack's up.
Okay. I'm going to. I don't have any goodwill. Can't want goodwill. It's terrible. I burned it.
Oh, I didn't gain my
I'm gonna
reputation for going up to that.
RSVP to bring some cheese.
Okay, so
That's my thing. That's me.
I am gonna take a dessert. And then RSVP for dessert, and then pay one to RSVP for dessert.
Oh no. Evan just won.
Not quite. That'll just give me.
Yeah.
That'll just give me
Pretty
3
close.
points. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I forgot I stole the potato from you. If you still had the potato, that was a victory move right there.
I know, right? You stole the potato from me. I do have to discard 3 desserts.
Slowly building my goodwill back. I'm just the potato guy.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
That was a good play, Evan.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, don't forget to take your dessert, Sam.
Yeah, I did. Just didn't take this off there.
Did you discard your dessert?
Oh yes, sorry.
Cheater.
Should definitely discard that.
Cheater.
Well, you know.
That goes over there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna spend my 1 on the meat here.
Yep.
That's my turn.
Yep.
Okay. Was just telling Bob the actions are on the left of the screen.
Oh, can you not see him?
Well, oh yeah, maybe he can't see him. Let's see, what am I gonna do? I will first to 5. Has this been accomplished, Mike?
No.
No.
You have to have all 5 of your
Yeah.
cubes there.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna RSVP cups and plates here. That's it.
Oh, you don't have to flip your cups when you RSVP?
When the party happens.
When the party happens. Okay. I think I might have messed that up. Well then. In that case. I will bring veggies. Nope, I'll bring a roast. No, I'll bring veggies. And cheese. And I'm gonna put them both on here. And then I'm gonna buy a cheese. Okay.
All right, I'll restock Granny's.
Gotta outshop your friends, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Potato. What? I don't need that. It's not what we need, Sam.
It's not what the people need.
It's not what we want out here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to. Man, what am I gonna do? I guess I'll do an odd job for some goodwill, and then I'll pass.
So this new action, I can shift any 2 cubes?
Yeah, it just has to be from one location to one other location.
Okay, so I'll shift a green cube down and a green cube down.
Oh, hold on. All right, yeah, that's an interaction I didn't plan on.
And I'll use.
But yeah, because it would be as if I just placed them, so you would remove.
The first one removes both.
Oh, it's so cruel.
Oh well, maybe the second one won't be a green cube. The first one removes both.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second one I bring down will be mine.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go. Smart.
Okay, not as cruel as I was thinking it was going to be when you first.
Yeah, because only the first one can do that thing.
This is the first game I've played with that new action.
It's still pretty brutal, but yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Okay.
That was my turn. Oh, actually, that wasn't my entire turn. I will
because you can borrow something from Granny.
I will also buy rice. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Evan was unsurprisingly diabolical in his plans. I will.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah. Diablo.
Go ahead and actually, you know what? No. I'll bring the rice over here. And then I will also pay 1 now that I have some, having funded Granny. Bring the meat here. So first I get to add an influence, right?
Yep.
Now here's if I added an influence down here to the potatoes, would that kick off a cube on the potatoes in time to trigger potatoes for me and not trigger it for the person whose cube I'd be kicking off?
You still wouldn't have majority in potatoes.
I thought it was shared majority.
But you're only going to be spending yours to kick one off.
Oh, okay. But it would still kick that cube off.
Yes.
But then I also have the influence. Oh, no, I'd be using influence for that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so instead, we're just going to use the influence to place up. Yeah, no, we're going to use it down here because I don't want Evan
I think you
scoring
have
another
to.
point here. Yeah.
Yeah, because then we
Well,
lose.
yours doesn't add then if you're kicking.
Yeah, mine doesn't add. And then I put the rice up here and I score 1 for meats now.
Yep.
Those are some special cold cuts, Sam.
Mm-hmm. And I
Pay my rice.
Veggie.
It's
And
odd that he can barbecue cold cuts.
cheese.
They're still
and
cold.
I gain 1 influence, of course, right there.
You haven't thrown like bologna on the grill?
Oh
That's
yeah,
baloney.
like spam, hash.
Oh, big sale.
Did you just do it? Did you just win?
No.
No.
I am going to.
Oh, it's Jack, right?
Wait, was I skipped?
Yeah, go ahead then. I haven't done anything yet. I just replaced the card.
I'm gonna buy some stuff from Granny. Buy a dessert. Buy a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. What's that? Oh. Okay.
What's that? I'm gonna move 2 cubes again. I'm gonna move this cube over here, and then this cube over here, which will kick that off and kick that off.
Does it kick off at 5?
No. It kicks off if it's
Over
at
5.
Oh, did I mess it up? Were there only 3 cubes over there?
Yeah.
So I was adding a 5th.
Yeah.
So it would just go. It would just go like that.
I'm not doing it. Not as cool. It's still pretty cool. I will. It's still pretty cool. I'm gonna do it.
I should have gained 1.
I will buy a dessert. Okay.
Hey Sam,
Mm-hmm.
what you doing?
What do you mean? What I'm doing? What am I doing? I'm very limited on my choices right now, Jack.
I know. I'm just curious what you're gonna do.
Evan bought a dessert. That
I
was
did.
his turn.
I did.
After removing those things.
Yeah.
I'm just so curious if there's any way we can thwart his
I know.
inevitable
collude to stop me.
Evan's just kind of ridiculously high here.
Yeah.
The broccoli and cheese is kind of ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I'm so limited that I think I have to restock Granny. But you don't have any goodwill to not make it so Evan can capitalize on me restocking Granny. But he does have 4 cards or 5 cards.
Yeah.
So I think that has to be the play here.
Restock.
And I
Grant.
think we can't afford to fund bake sale at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you starve me out on bake sale, then I won't be able to do it for a
I
long
think we
time.
just have to slowly let Evan grind his way up bake sale while we try to do everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair
that
enough.
sounds right. That sounds right. Sounds correct.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
there's a me.
Let's see.
Well, yeah, Jackson.
My turn. I guess I will.
Get that meat.
I don't have any goodwill. I guess I'll RSVP to bring a vegetable to the dairy-free event. And that's my move.
Let's see. I will shift this cube over here. Getting rid of that and this. And then I will shift.
It'll only get. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
And then I will shift this cube over here. No, I don't want to get you closer to me. And then I will shift this. No. Yeah, this cube. Well, this cube over. Nope. This cube over here. Okay. And that's my turn.
Okay. So I'm gonna go shopping. I'm gonna
Nice.
buy the meat.
Get the meat.
I'm going to buy a
Dessert.
dessert.
Join me. We're having a bake sale.
Do I buy a third dessert? It's interesting. I think I do. All right, Jack.
I will RSVP a dessert.
Okay, my turn.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so tying is what is considered a control, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna win. So I move one in, and then I move two in, and now I control all four, and that's 4 points, and that'll bring me to 13.
Yep, that's a big win.
Boom. He got a Cul De Sac.
Yep.
Cold flag.
Cul De Sac to win it, dude. That's a pretty
Mhm.
big. That's a pretty baller move.
All right.
Yeah, I realized I needed to try to shut down your cheese actions, and the only way I could do that was try to put Jack into the cheese. But I realized that
And the big cheese would throw his cheese around.
The big cheese.
Yeah. Nice. Is there anything that's the end of the game? That's
Yeah,
it's
that's the end of the
immediately
game.
over. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as somebody gets max reputation, they win.
I actually have to use the restroom, but if somebody wants to go ahead and start with feedback, I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think the way that it will end is once I figure out the balance of these cards,
Okay.
it'll just be you go through the deck and whoever has the most at the end of the deck. But yeah,
okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start. this game did not present as a cutthroat game to me on the surface, but man, it kind of is. Well, it was in that experience. Is that a normal experience for you, Mike, or is it pretty like is it less competitive?
It depends on the group.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, it's got some sneaky little take that stuff that I just didn't really see coming from the teach. But
yeah, I mean, the initial conceit of the game was like you're in a neighborhood and you do some like backstabby stuff,
uh-huh.
but I didn't want like take that stuff, right?
Okay.
But so I don't know if it felt take thatty.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of like more like espionage.
Sure, I can see that. Yeah, it's interesting. I think you've got some cool things going on, like the majority control and the little actions there. As that ramps up, that's kind of cool. The meat track's neat. Like I like the like options you have for having only one action a turn. I feel like there are a few different paths you could go strategically, which is interesting. I think so okay, notes. Here's my okay, so first note was why would I remove a cube? But then as we got going, I understood that. So I see kind of how that works. The odd jobs action, that bottom action for good deeds. I have one minor note about it and then one major note, which goes to probably my biggest piece of feedback for you.
Mhm.
So the minor note about it is I feel like it's not enough goodwill to use an action to do that. I think I would just have you play tested at other other numbers aside from 2?
So this is the first game with the odd job.
Okay, yeah. I think
But the economy is something that's very tight and
yeah,
easy for it to get out of hand.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I did it that once. Maybe it's fine.
I mean,
But
I'm going to try it with higher numbers, but
here's a bigger piece of feedback for me, Mike, and this applies to the whole game.
Mhm.
The odd jobs was one where I was wanting for a little more theme, where I'm like, okay, so what am I doing? Like if I'm doing, goodwill for my neighbors or something, like what is that? And I felt that way about several things in the game, like the area control. I'm like, so if I have the most broccoli, or if I bring the most broccoli, or I'm the broccoli guy, so one, I'm just kind of trying to understand, like, what does that even mean? But then two, why do I get to borrow from Granny because I'm the broccoli guy? And I felt the same about like all of those area control things where I'm like, so Potato Man is like he's a popular guy, like he's the party
Everybody
guy,
likes Potato
right?
Man.
Because the potatoes they could just do all kinds of things. But I don't know. I'm like trying to, and I think the reason I think like those are some examples of areas where I'm just like, so what is the theme of this game and what am I doing? And I think if you lean into, like you mentioned, like some of the things like espionage, or like, oh, it's like a competitive, like you're all neighbors and you kind of like don't like each other, but you do potlucks frequently in your neighborhood. Like it just amplifies the theme a little bit, and it brings in the mechanisms in a way that like kind of just amps up what you're doing and gives you more reason to care or invest in what you're doing. I think on the flip side though, you've got a lot of really nice things in the theme here that are like doing good for other people, like goodwill is the currency. And you've got the thing about like you're basically having potlucks. It's a pretty peaceful theme. So I think you could lean in that direction and let the mechanics kind of lean on that theme. But I think the game is just wanting for a little bit more theme to help it really develop an identity at this point. It's kind of like how I felt as I was playing, because I'm kind of like it was hard for me to craft a strategy, because I was thinking like, well, what am I really trying to do? Am I trying to perform well at parties? Am I trying to build like I understood that reputation was what I'm trying to gain, but it's like, how do I go about doing that? Why is that the thing that I go about doing? So that I think was probably my biggest piece of feedback. And I'm just curious if you like what do you see the game as currently? Or like what was kind of your vision slash
Um,
is your vision for
so I do think it started more thematic
yeah.
because initially, like those 4 locations, they didn't have the abilities on them.
Mhm.
And they were signature dishes where if you brought a combination of ingredients, it became your signature dish, and then you got known for your signature dish. And
Mm,
that was how you gained reputation.
yeah. Okay.
Um, and then this worked better gameplay wise.
Yeah.
So this is what it is right now.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of like you had something cool theme wise and you brought mechanics up to it to match it. And now you're like kind of retooling it. You're like, okay, these mechanics are like maybe more fun or more engaging or something. But then I think you need to bring the theme back up to match those mechanics. That's kind of my just my impression of how I was playing, how I was feeling about it as we were playing. But I think that will inform a lot of things because I think that will make more sense of your actions. Because I was kind of um it's a very simple conceit to just do one thing on your turn, but there's a little bit of like overlap between those things where you can you can buy it from Granny, but then you can refill Granny and you refill your cups. Um, and like that all makes sense, but I think if those actions were more tied to a specific like thematic description, it might help. You'd be like, oh, okay, I'm shopping, or I'm borrowing or something like that, just to
Mhm.
help with the tie-in and the like putting language to it might help to make it flow a little bit. The other thing is like what's the majority control about? How does that work? Because I think there's just something about the like 5 max, but then if you add a cube, you take away 2 cubes. So you go down, there's 6 cubes. But then if you decide to remove one, you go down to 4 cubes. And the like the logistics of that were escaping me continually throughout the game. So I was like, how does that make sense or what's happening there was kind of my question that makes that happen. So yeah, I think that's just one large central piece of feedback that informs several things for me. Um, but yeah, the powers, I was kind of like, at first I had a note that was like, are the powers imbalanced? Is there like clear? But then as we went on, I saw the value kind of evolve them. Um, the one that got used probably the least was the rice.
No, I used it quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it
yeah,
just
and
flew under the
you
radar
had
with
lots
it.
of goodwill. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's my feedback, and then yeah. Sam, what do you have?
I really had a good time. If you couldn't tell, I was really getting into it, especially towards the end, trying to figure out the little puzzle there of
How do we
trying
stop
to
him?
not let Evan in. And it's always embarrassing if he doubles my score. It's supposed to be the other way.
Yeah,
It had to happen.
Um,
It had to happen once in a while.
oh, I think it's happened like the last 3 times. I think you officially have the upper hand here on doubling my score over me doubling yours. Um, So, like Jack, there were a few thematic elements that I thought were really good, and a few thematic elements that kind of fell a little flat for me.
yeah.
What I felt was really good was the idea of losing goodwill for bringing a meat you're not qualified for. Like, just when I heard that, I wrote that down. Like, as soon as you said it in the teach, I'm like, okay, this is perfect.
That was Evan's idea in the last.
I know.
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
yes, I like
Yep,
it.
I ripped that
That's
wholesale
awesome.
from the last playtest. So
Nice.
Nice. Well, that felt really good, and the idea of that, and it's also something that like you're doing as a player that okay, I'm paying a heavier cost in doing this. but I've got some payoffs that can be there. I specifically did that, lost 3 goodwill, or 3 goodwill all in one action in order for me to really shoot up that meat track. So I did really enjoy that. Right at the beginning, when you went over what these actions were, I wrote down that I want to go for potato, cheese, and meat because I thought that was going to be the strongest strategy. It did end up being the strongest strategy to go for potato and cheese. It looked like, and I never felt like I had an opportunity to go for potato and cheese. Just the way cards play out. So while you've got a lot that you can do during your turn, that opening hand that you have plays such a big role that there's 75% of the cards are dealt out during that opening hand, right? So it just felt like at that point, my opening hand says I'm not going for what I think might be an optimal strategy here.
Yeah.
I
If I can add one small thing to that, Sam, that was a major limitation in the game that I'm wondering if, like, by design, it's good to have some like scarcity and tension, but the sheer randomness of the market, it seemed overly weighted for the involved decision making in some other areas where I'm like, man, I want to advance up this meat track, right? And that's a very deliberate decision. Or like, I really want to build my area control here, but then it's like totally random if I'll have the opportunity to do those things. So I was like, if I had a little bit more agency over this market, just a tiny bit more, I think I would have felt better about the
Yeah.
framework of what I was trying to do.
Yeah, one thing that's been on the docket for playtesting, but it's been kind of like a low priority, is just playtest with everybody starts with one of everything. Granny has one of everything. Everybody has one of everything. That's the starting hand. So it's been on the docket, but it's one of those things where that could change the entire game, like from the start. And I haven't locked in the ideas that are on the board yet. So I've been trying to figure out the ideas that are on the board with a familiar state of play, if that makes sense. And then I think for the odd job, I could just pick something from the discard pile. So you get
or
2 goodwill and grab something from the discard pile.
Or one of my thoughts was, if you're taking the shopping action, you get the goodwill, right? And you get to choose what these cards are. You don't get to pick them because it's going to be a whole turn before it comes back to you, and you might not end up having what you want. But if there are 3 open spots here, you just look through the deck of cards and you put out whatever you want there. If you want to put 3 meat cards out there, you put 3 meat cards out there. If you want to put, a smattering of things, you can do that too. Anyway, sorry, Sam, I kind of jumped into the middle.
No, that's great. Another possibility might be just lowering that starting hand too. Because if you have fewer cards in your starting hand, that actually opens up more action possibilities that you have right at the beginning of the game. Because at the beginning of the game, you can't add any cards to your hand. So essentially your first action has to be RSVP, or it has to be odd job in order for you to get more goodwill.
I never thought of that.
If you start at fewer cards, it makes it so a bad starting hand is actually less punishing because you already have some goodwill. You can use that to bring in cards from the market in order to set yourself up. So yes, you might have a little bit of a bonus on that starting hand, but it's not necessarily going to be everything to those initial rounds of gameplay. And even then, you can start throwing desserts into your hand. Might be a simple fix there too.
Man, that would have never occurred to me. I was so proud of the It's 5 of each card, or like 1 of each card for however many players plus granny. Like that's great,
Yeah.
perfect. Never gonna change it. But now that you say that, I'm like, oh, you know what?
So
Nice.
my published game, I actually had to limit the starting hand size just in order to make sure bad things didn't happen in the first round. So that's just why that comes to mind for me. The the other thing is cheese to me feels overpowered. In the end, I thought it ranked potato, cheese, meat. I think it ranks cheese like way above everything. Potatoes, nice average, and then everything else is a little under par there.
Yep, this is the first game with that cheese power. So
yeah, that felt very strong, partly because the taking away of other people's cubes. Like Jack mentioned, the take that in our game was very strong. The possibility to, like, I was really going hard into rice once I'm like, okay, well, my starting hand says I'm going rice, so I'm going rice, and I'm going to go as hard into rice as possible.
Yeah. Right.
And then when Evan was just able to pull 2 of my tokens out of rice, I'm like, oh, man, this really hurts. It's like everything I'd built up for in the game. I'm like, I'm no longer going to be able to achieve that.
Yeah.
Because it was literally like 2/3 of my game. He took away half of the effort that I put there. Just with how strong that action is. Especially with the cubes being knocked off. I don't know that that's necessarily needed for this game. With how many points you're going up to, or how short the game seems to be, I don't think you have a component issue if you allow for every player to have 20 cubes in the box. I don't think that's horrible for this size game. And if you just allow them to put as many cubes as they want into a space, the game should end before they run out of cubes.
yeah, so I implemented the max because once somebody got like 3 cubes into something, everybody else was like, okay, we're just gonna let them have that one, and we'll focus on everything else, and we're not gonna even bother with like if it was potatoes. So I thought max 5, it kind of like gives everybody a shot, and that you can come back into it pretty easily.
Okay. Did you have those rewards out there, those victory points out there at that time?
No, those are. This is the first play test with those two.
Because I think those milestones might actually serve that same purpose. So, and they could even be, instead of a first 2 max, or whoever has the max at the end of game. So it's not just a race to that many points. Just as another possibility out there, but it just, to me, I didn't feel like it was needed for the cubes to be lost at any point in the game. But I didn't play that previous version of the game, so I don't know if I would have felt that way at that point. But everything else felt really good. Turns were really quick. I was surprised at first when you were going through everything, and then when I saw how much I was able to do in certain turns. But everything like moved so quickly, which I really appreciated in this game. Easy to remember every single one of the turns. It's not necessarily as approachable as it looks on the board. Or no, sorry. It's more approachable in the gameplay than it looks laid out. But I think that can just come down to some good graphic design.
And not just having everything thrown onto a board.
But I really enjoyed it. I felt like it was a real competitive experience. And I do feel like there's plenty of options, and excited to see what happens next time.
Thank you.
Mr. Halbert.
Mr. Halbert. So, yeah, the obviously I like the meat track. Um, no, I think that was more compelling and a cooler way to do that. Where um, it was possible for me to make a roast. It just wasn't that great, so I lost a little bit of goodwill. I think that solved some issues from the first time, if I'm recalling correctly. So I liked how that worked. Um, yeah, when I my first valuation of the skills was potato, veggie, rice, cheese, and now it's cheese by a lot, then veggie, then potato, and then rice. So similar to Sam, but I think the veggie is really good.
I think
Um,
having veggie early game
yeah,
is huge.
yeah,
It just allows you to participate in so many more meals and
yeah.
yeah.
Um, I was kind of
I have the
racking.
currency problem that I had.
What's that?
When I had veggie, I had a currency problem.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Had
yeah.
it, you
Yeah.
didn't have that.
Lacking goodwill.
I love that goodwill's a currency. There's so many fun thematics in this
Yeah.
game, but I do agree with the other guys where there's definitely some opportunities to really lean into the theme a little bit more. And just kind of clearing up like, wait, like Granny has all of the food in the neighborhood, or like what's going on with that? Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kind of answering some basic foundational questions like, why does Granny have all the food? Where is our
Whose
chest?
granny is she?
Whose Granny is she? Like, do we not have a chest freezer? Like, um, just some foundational questions like that. Mechanically, obviously, it works well. Um, I, the whole time you guys were talking, I was trying to think of how to bring it down to three possible actions on your turn instead of four. I never quite got there. Um, you could combine and basically like steal the broccoli action into the main action where it's like you can RSVP to one thing and you can buy one thing, and that could be one action. I don't really know if that's better. Um, I do like kind of the tug and pull of being able to pay a goodwill to place an extra RSVP. I really like that, and I wouldn't want to lose that. And I
Mhm.
do like the capacity to kind of blow out, your. I do like that you have to choose whether you are going to not RSVP to go pick up that meat. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's an important distinction. Whereas if I can pick up a meat and RSVP on my turn, a la the broccoli, it kind of makes that luck of the reveal even harsher, right? Because then every single player, like, I might never be able to get a meat because every player could just be like, grab the meat on their turn and then place an RSVP. But if they have to choose, am I spending my turn grabbing that meat or RSVPing, then sometimes they don't. And then I actually did get a meet in that way that really saved my ass
Mhm.
mid game where Sam could have taken it. He didn't.
Yeah.
And then I got the meat that I had already said I was going to bring to the party. And yeah, and everything went okay. Um, but so I don't think, I think the four actions is good. Um, the only tweak I would make is I would say, yeah, that last action, I would try take one goodwill and one card from the discard pile.
Mhm. Yeah, that's fair.
Um, and then the refill
Mm.
granny, I would go ahead and just flush it
Mm.
and then refill. Because
Oh, all of it.
the stuff that is left is the stuff that nobody wanted generally. So just
Yeah.
go ahead and get rid of it. Let's get some junk out there that people are more likely to want, statistically speaking.
It
Because
makes it a more tempting action.
yeah,
Definitely makes you want to do it more, I
yeah.
think.
Um, I mean, you're not the one who's gaining the benefit of any new stuff that's out there, but you are getting all that goodwill, which is really nice. And I love that it's a loaded, you know, it, if it was a worker placement game, it would be the spot that keeps building one resource every round until somebody finally takes it. I really like that style where, like, oh, are we going to let it get to 5 goodwill before somebody cashes that out?
Yeah,
So
right.
I really like that. I think that's an engaging part of the gameplay. So yeah, the only tweak on that is I would just go ahead and flush the market when you're taking that action. What else? These uh, trophy to sack to trophies. Those seem really hard to do.
Well, with the cheese, it becomes nigh impossible.
Yeah,
So it probably wasn't great to have the cheese and those in this game, like
yeah,
both this first trial.
yeah. Those seem really hard to do. I like the idea of them, and the fact that I was able to gain. And this one seemed like it was going to be the hardest when I first saw all three. I was like, oh, control all four things. That's going to be way easier to get 5 cubes in a potato. Nope. Um, turns out. It just is a testament to how much stronger that cheese action is than the rest. And there's various ways to mess with it. Like I like the messing with area control, but obviously the way that you have your max of fives resolving when you move cubes in is not playing nicely with the cheese ability.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, like I don't have a strong opinion on which one you change, but those both can't exist at the same time, basically. Um, like, do you need a max at 5? I don't know. Does the cheese action just need to be totally reworked? I don't know. But both of them as they are is way too powerful. Because as you saw, I would, especially in a 3-player game, in a 2-player game, not as much, but in a 3+ player game, I can just take 2 other people's cubes and remove 2 cubes from the board
Yeah.
that were not my cubes to remove. So,
And those things are hard to get.
yeah, yeah. So
So
it was
I guess
way too powerful.
a lot of it could be alleviated if it was just your cubes.
Right. If you're not maxing the cubes, and then I'm not deleting cubes when I move them around, like that obviously would be one way to change that. I really am excited about the possibility of these 4 spots being, like a stack of 12 abilities
Yeah.
that for every single game you just grab 4.
Right now I have 6.
Yeah, like,
So
yeah, I would do even more.
yeah.
And then you kind of gain that like setup unique gameplay of like a Dominion style thing where you're like, ooh, what's the combo gonna be this game? You're like, oh man, cheese is big this game, and that's awesome.
yeah.
And then everybody's
Yeah.
vying over cheese or whatever. Or it's
It's
like
a
if you
cheese run.
yeah, if you can
Yeah.
get broccoli and potato, like
Yeah.
those two abilities together are insane. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so I think a healthy portion of abilities to cycle through in games would be really cool. But at the end of the day, replayability is, I think, thrown around too much because people focus on that more than just first play survivability. Because replayability doesn't really matter if nobody wants to play it again. Um, even though you'll get dinged for not being replayable, to me, there's too much focus on replayability, frankly, and the word gets kind of misused. Since like,
I totally agree with you.
what's the most replayable game ever? Chess, like, and there's the way people describe replayability. There is zero replayability, but in
Yeah.
fact, it's one of the most replayable games ever made. Same thing.
I'd argue,
yeah,
argue tic-tac-toe has been replayed more than any other game.
right. Yeah, exactly. And that's even solvable. Um, so yeah, I have a bone to pick with the term replayability, but I do think there's a cool opportunity here to really delve into that with those abilities. in a way that I think would be really rewarding and cool. Cul De Sac Cravens. I see why they're there. I see why they're there. To me, they were not very engaging. I finally thought about them at the end when I was like, I just need one more point. You
Yeah,
know,
maybe they need to be worth 3
maybe,
or something.
yeah. Like to me, like the crux of the game is controlling these things and using the powers that you're gaining by controlling those things. And so if you're taking me away from that, that's not very attractive. Because I'm basically giving up those cubes, those area control cubes, to go just get points, which are the least interesting, benefit in any game, is just getting victory points. Not to say that that shouldn't exist, because sometimes you need that. And obviously it's in almost every game because it's a thing that usually is good to have existing. But to me, that pulls me away from the gameplay that I actually find interesting.
The other thing that would be interesting that you could do to increase this, because I don't think it would harm like the weight of your game or anything, is if all of these cravens had like a special thing that this person did or could help you with. So you collect the card, you take the reputation, and then also at any time you can borrow something from Granny, or at any time this person grants you goodwill or something like that, that gives you an additional reason to go for these up here.
I'm kind of curious of whether or not you could just tie those in with your already existing meals that you have, because I completely forgot about them like throughout the entire game. I looked back up and I'm like, oh, could I have completed any of those? And then I realized no, I couldn't have, because I didn't play
Yeah.
the vegetable or the potatoes at a later point.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to do.
But if they were tied into these meals too, as like a special bonus, if you filled in those particular squares on those meals, that might be an interesting dynamic that gets you the same thing too.
Yeah, or some kind of like just any cool ability that's like an engine building aspect could be cool. Maybe it's a permanent veggie card that you never discard, or or whatever. Just some type of engine building, some extra bonus, like they were talking about. That sounds more engaging. If you need them there, then do something like that. I don't know if they have to be there, but what else? I think that's pretty much. Let me go through this just in case. The Cravens, Max 5 was kind of weird. There was a whole bunch of weird little rules to remember about what happens when there's the 6th cube being put in. There's like 2 different ways to resolve it, or I don't know, it was weird. Alternate cheese ability, once per turn, spend a goodwill to move 1 cube. Broccoli best? Question mark. That was definitely no. If you don't bring I like that there's a penalty for not bringing the thing that you said you're going to bring. Like that makes total sense. But lose a turn almost always is not fun. And I would recommend something more like discard a card, or lose a reputation. And then lose a reputation was my immediate response. And then, okay, well, what if there's no reputation to lose? Okay. Right? If that person's already doing poorly and then they mess up, all right.
Yeah, I was worried that it would like stalemate the beginning of the game a little bit.
Maybe.
And make like the beginning is everybody just trying to block everybody from.
I could see exploiting that to try to do like, oh, I don't have a score to tank, so I'm going to tank right now in order to set myself up for later. But sometimes that's an interesting strategy to be able to play when you're being like really trying to play at top level.
But is there really a benefit? You know, because you're spending goodwill to place out those extra markers to block other people. And
Yeah.
then you're not actually gaining the benefit because you can't actually move the cube up anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, okay. It probably could be reputation because the last time that it was reputation was when it was the signature dishes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was easy to block a signature dish from being made and just take the hit on
Oh,
reputation
right,
to block somebody else from getting reputation.
right,
So now that it's not that, I think I could
right.
go back to reputation.
And give it a try, and then see if it's breakable. You know, see if somebody can go in there and do that, and see if it's fun. You know, because if that's a fun alternate thing to do, then cool. Um, Resolving with the last person to place the resolution order and then remembering whose turn it is was a little strange. I don't have any real great recommendations around that. But just the whole resolution order, it definitely has to be specific, right? It's either top down on the card, or that would be the easiest, I think. Just go, you know, whatever the top cube
Yeah.
is, that one resolves, then this one resolves, then this cube, and you just do one cube at a time. Um, but the way you did it worked. It just got a little tough to track whose turn it was after we were all done and who had done their thing, and then remembering to discard your card, which you said in person isn't really a thing.
Yeah, when you're like actually holding them,
Okay.
it's like a constant reminder that they're in your
Okay.
hand.
Okay. But yeah, I don't have any strong like here's the way to make that easier, but those were just little things that were just not quite as smooth as maybe they could be. Um, put one victory point on the dessert card,
Hmm.
just to remind me that that's what the heck it does,
Yep.
instead of just having to know it, you know. Um, Meat. Um, I liked how much of a run there was on meat, even though I would have to play a couple more times to really see if that was warranted.
Meat is weak right now.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be 1-2-2 on the track for
that might
reputation.
be.
It can't be
Um,
1-2-3, because that's absurd
yeah,
when it does that. But I think 1-2-2 could work,
but
or
we had
one
we
one
had
two
such a
maybe.
run on the meat, and I loved that desire to, oh, I need it. It did have some negative interactions with the randomness of things showing up and turn order in relation to the randomness of when things show up, but I liked that there was a fever for it. um, but yeah, I wasn't convinced it was actually as valuable as it felt. But it is attractive, even as is, and it's very attractive.
Did
uh,
all of us initially like thematically go for meat and avoid bringing vegetables? I
I
think
think
that was
so.
just like we brought the vegetables if we had to, and we all tried to bring
I
thematically.
am the grill master.
Mm. It's like can't be
um,
the potato guy, but that is the only way to get victory points. So
That was the other thing is getting victory points is hard. I think there should be an easier way to get victory points. Um, and it's great that that's like a thing you have to plan for, but like let me get a victory point every time a card is being resolved. Like somebody should be getting a victory point. Like maybe it's the person who brought the most stuff or whatever. I just feel like there needs to be, because if I don't go meat, right, because that's a way to get victory points, and if I don't go potato, then I'm like, how do
Yeah,
I
and
how do I get victory points?
that's the issue that the Cravens were trying to solve, is
Right.
like to get you a way to get like incremental victory points that are
Yeah.
just like one shot things.
I would tie it into the events
Yeah,
themselves.
I think that's a good idea to try. Yep. Like if
Yeah,
like
whoever brought the most stuff gets a victory point. And if it's tied, great, you both get a victory point, whatever.
yeah, or like Sam said, it could just be like if you bring vegetables and rice to this party, you get a victory point.
Sure, yeah, maybe
Each
each one
card
is
could have something
specific or
different.
whatever. Dessert can buy multiple. Just some graphic thing letting me know that I can buy multiple desserts.
Hmm.
That's what I got. Did anything come up for you two? Jack, Sam?
I mean, just the last thing that you were saying, there's so many different things you can do with these events to enhance that. One of the things I would be concerned about a little bit is if you do away with this, the Craven piece, is just trying to figure out how to make how to reduce a concept Evan talks about all the time, win more, right? Oh, I win, so I win more. So it's like, okay, I've got the, majority on this and I get a bonus. And then I also get points because I filled out the whole meal. And guess what? Other people don't get to do anything because they're not part of this event. So I think like finding small ways to do that where it's like, you know, first person to put rice here gets 2 points or gets 2 reputation, and the second person who brings rice gets 1, and then the third person, and then they all get to do the thing. But I don't know, just little uh just thinking about that piece where it's like, okay, if I have no goodwill, I have no good cards, um what can I do? Is there any way I can catch up? How can I still be a part of this game? Um, yeah, I don't know. That's one thing I felt was really valuable about these extra victory points up here is for me, when I was out of the game, it gave me a way to quickly get back into it, and then immediately get outpaced. But yeah.
Yeah, but did you really get back into it with that? Is the question that I would ask. And like you felt
I know.
okay, you're on the board, but
So,
really at the position, because you and I were both starved for resources. Like
yeah.
I do regret the play that I took just to like emphasize that rules is taught where we could make Jack end up losing 2 turns. But in the end, was that strategically good? Probably not, because really what I did was I gave Evan a stronger advantage in the game, which 3-player game, you go hard take that against one other player. Typically happens, the third player wins.
Yeah.
So yeah, the skipping turn, I don't know if that's great, like Evan brought up.
Yeah, that's already gone. We can just
That's gone.
The one thing that Evan talked about that I do think is the balance of these 2 actions together, or these 2 rules together, of the cheese and the max 5. That I think he made a good point that they just can't exist well together in their current state. I could see both being toned down, but also what he brought up about having many of these abilities, like that actually gives neighborhood flair. But I'd love to see one that's just printed on the board. Just toss it in is like, hey, here's some way that we're able to add to the game, but you've got your base game that's really approachable. So, but
cool.
Well, Mike, as we're kind of,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as you're kind of listening to all of this stuff, what floats to the top for you? You're looking at your own game. Anything that we didn't mention, or is there anything that stuck out from the feedback that you heard tonight?
I mean, it's tough. Like the big things are balancing the stuff that's not quite balanced. I know during gameplay, I was like, "Yep, meat track's weak, like super weak right now." So I got to fix that. Cheese was an obvious one, but this was the first playtest with that, so that was kind of expected. The this max thing, I I think that one's going to be tough for me to kind of like wrap my head around in terms of changing or like manipulating, because it makes a lot of interesting things happen, but they're convoluted, right?
Mhm.
And it probably would have felt more in because I like the fact that when you typically without the cheese, um, if like this was the situation and green put another one on, and instead of putting another one on, they just take the red off, like that gives them just as much advantage. Whereas like if green puts one on here with no max, purple's like, well, I guess I'm not doing potatoes because it's going to be really like because you don't have many opportunities to like you can't just say, "Yep, I'm going to get potatoes this time." So because that might not happen between not having the cards here and not getting the spot here. So this one I think is going to be tough for me mentally to kind of grok and figure out. These obviously need to come down. I don't know what they'll be yet, but it'll depend on what I do with this, I think.
Mm.
But me, yeah, definitely needs bumped up. I'm gonna keep playing with these guys because I think they're a nice out if there's not really a situation that you want to fix on the board. Like it might, like if there's a board state where potato and rice just doesn't benefit you at all to go to potato and rice, you might as well just go and grab the 2 victory points, which could be a huge swing. Um, but I think maybe if there were three, they'd be more alluring. I don't know. Yeah, it's typically what happens is I'm going to sit there and I'm going to think about this for I'm going to think about this play test for the next like 3 days, and it's just going to marinate.
Yeah. I like to sometimes after a playtest where I get a ton of feedback, I'll be like, "Oh, geez, that's so much," and I'll be like, "Well, here's an obvious change. I'm gonna do the obvious thing." And then I've got these like non-obvious things I'm kind of watching. And after I change the obvious things, maybe the non-obvious things are a little bit easier, you know, where I'm like, oh yeah, that whole five max thing is weird, but I don't know what to do. So, but I do know I can do this thing with like the meat track or whatever. So yeah, hope it. Yeah, sometimes when you get a ton all at once, it's like, oh man, what do I change? I think it could be tempting to change too much too quickly. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I have a different opinion on how much to change at once than most people.
Change it all, make it
I
different.
I go big. I change lots of things a lot
Yeah,
between playtests.
yeah.
For me, it works. To me, it gets me to a place I want to get faster.
Hmm.
But I have been told that that's not a great way for everyone, and so I can recognize that.
Yeah.
It's the different design types.
Yeah,
You got painters, you got sculptors, and then
yeah.
you've got clay workers. It's like the sculptor after a play test, they take out a whole bunch of stuff and everything looks totally different. Or the clay worker, everything looks different afterward.
Yeah.
The painter, everything looks like, oh, there was a little bit more added, and the sculptor, it's oh,
That's
well, I
good.
just got rid of that thing that was a problem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I do change like something between every playtest, right? Like something changes, and most of the time it is small. But then, if I do that playtest and I'm like, it's time to get out the old scythe, and I change everything, and then I play it again, and 90% of the changes I made have been changes I've been thinking about for a long time, and it and and it all works how I want it to, except now I just need to iterate the rule. I need to iterate that out through the rest of the design, to make it actually functional.
Yeah.
And most of the time, like 90% of the stuff that I tried was actually the correct direction to go.
Mhm.
And then sometimes it circles all back around like a year later. I'm like, what we should do is that thing we did a year ago. That's the right way to go. And sometimes you do come back, and that's fine. But
What?
I
Prototype
like my changes.
24 and Prototype 3 are identical. It's crazy.
Yeah, right, exactly. But but then when you circle back around, like even though you circled back on this one thing, the 5 other things around it have changed in a way that makes this beautiful now.
Yeah,
But,
totally.
so I can appreciate large and small changes.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
gotta
Mike,
say,
thanks for.
you've got so much competitive draw on this.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize that enough. While there were balance struggles, like I really, really, really just felt the urge to do everything possible to try to win.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
like
good.
I know. I was
that's
thinking.
really strong with this game.
I was kind of thinking about this as like I was trying to think of alternate themes that could get you into the mood here, and I was thinking like a pie competition almost is sort of like you're playing for the first prize at the county fair with your pie, and I don't know.
Oh, and then the ingredients are just types of pie. So
Yeah, you
you're
got
just
like
the best
apple and
at potato
yeah,
pie.
yeah, and there's berry and peach and yeah, you're kind of like experimenting and yeah, and you could still have the meat track, the meat pies. I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway,
it's
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I think, yeah, you got something cool, Mike. Thank you for showing us your game, bringing it back. Cool to see the changes. Where can people find you, and where can people connect to learn more about your game and all that stuff?
I am. I should prepare more for this. Yeah, I don't really have anyone to contact. I am off the grid. Uh, you comment on this YouTube video, and I will find it.
Nice.
Um,
Sometimes on a warm summer eve, if you whisper "snacky snack"
right.
in the
Cul
breeze.
De Sac. Awesome. Jack, how can people find and support you?
Yeah, newkingdomgaming.com. Also, you can search for Jack Dunbar on most social medias. Find me. Yeah, New Kingdom Gardeners. That's out. That can be backed on Hive right now. Still fulfilling pledges for that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Sam, how can people find and support you?
You can find me, Sam Barmettler, on Facebook and some of the design groups, or if you want to support me, outrunthebeargame.com. Right now, you can purchase Outrun the Bear, and I know that Evan likes to say you should go and buy 1,000 copies of his. If you buy 1,000 copies of Edge of the Empire, you could have bought 2,500 copies of Outrun the Bear.
That's a good
Fair
deal.
enough.
That's a
Yeah.
good deal.
Yeah, support your whole community.
Yeah, go out and buy After the Empire. There's a solo mode if you didn't know and you like playing solo games. Buy the solo mode, and then buy all of my upcoming games. The 2 that I just signed will come out in 1.5 and then like 3.5 years. And if you're a publisher, I still have designs left. Get yours
Nice.
now. Limited time offer. Nah, I'll wait. Um, anyway, awesome, Jack, Sam. Thanks for joining on. Great to see you, Mike. Thanks for bringing it back. Yeah, I had a blast.
Good. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Like honestly, super valuable. Lots of stuff to go back and watch through and marinate on. So appreciate it.
Marinade. Okay.
There.
And
That's
then
great.
thanks in the chat for Sasha and Bob. I don't think anybody else showed up today, but
Yeah.
good to see you two in the chat. All right, everybody, let's get out of here. We